Welcome back to the news. Guess what? Pre-patch is in just a few days. Things are kind of popping in the game, which is nice. The development team is bringing the game across the finish line. Now, I'm going to level with you. This is a bit weird, but Matt is starting to say vaguely positive things as he does class testing. He really is. I mean, he's a wild man for the productive nitpick, but seriously, he keeps on delving into Dragonflight. Then I talk to him and he comes out with good things. Shocking, right? I mean, we even talked about those data-mined Titan lore books on our stream, and he wasn't furious. We had a good time. Isn't that insane? Pre-patch drops October 25th, but we've learned it's going to be in two phases. The 25th is going to bring with it the core systemic changes. That's things like talents, the new UI, that sort of thing. November 15th adds the real meat, the Drakthir, along with the Forbidden Reach starting zone, which is pretty great, and the new Ultiman Dungeon, plus Primal Storms, an event that I'll talk about later. Phase 2 of pre-patch will bring Twitch drops, as will Launch Day and Season 1. So there you go, Blizzard trying a bit harder on the marketing front. Now, if you're worried, it's the biggest worry in the community, that you may miss out on some Season 4 content. Don't worry, there's actually some hope. So, Keystone Master, its mount, Keystone Hero, and the Dungeon Teleports, those are for M+20, those will all stay. And the whole fated raid system will also stay. All the raids will in fact be fated at the same time, which does mean that you can go and earn that Slime Cat mount. So yes, with all this, Shadowlands is finally, almost, in the rearview mirror. Blizzard have announced Legacies, a new multi-part series in the same vein as Afterlives and Harbingers. So the first episode comes out October 24th, just a few days from now. Pretty excited. If it's anything like the past, then I would expect us to learn something that will eventually become vital, even if we don't know it immediately. As an example, Warbringer's Ashara told us a lot because both, Ashara and Azoth were key bosses. So, get your speculation ready. I've got more speculative stuff later on today, and I also just want to say, shout out, I believe they'll be coming out 2 times a week, but we do have our big lore series. It's a 6-parter, super cinematic, mega high effort from our team on the major characters of Dragonflight, so be on the lookout for that on the channel. Patrons, it's live on Patreon right now as well. Same goes for the channel members. You too can get it. Okay, let's go on. Alright, the new event. So unfortunately, I missed out testing it because I was really busy last weekend, but hey, shit happens. So here's the event. Primal Storms. These will be appearing in the second phase of pre-patch. These can occur in 4 zones: Earth in Northern Barrens, Fire in Tirisfal Glades, Storm for Ungoro, and Water for the Badlands, where hordes of mobs will spawn in around every 30 minutes. An Elemental Lord will spawn and empower nearby mobs, which causes them to drop Primeval Essence, which is the event currency. Now, after you defeat 100 of those, the shield around the Lord will be broken and they can be fought, which of course earns you more loot and currency. Now, there's an achievement for defeating all 4 of the Elemental Lords, and between currency, mobs, and the Lords, you'll be able to earn item level 252 catch-up gear that looks like this. I think a few of these look pretty damn rough on a human male model, to be honest. I think some of them look far better in other characters, though I've got to say, the plate, man, that is pretty awesome. I think it'll be worth picking up. Now also, there's a new heirloom trinket. It's going to take a bit of work though, because each lord has a rare drop item. Combine all 4, and you will get an heirloom trinket that grants main stat and a damage, like a damage and a buff effect. So that's basically it. I'm not sure if these can be used for leveling in the same way the Legion invasions were. Oh, actually, there's also a critter vacuum toy. Overall, my opinion on them from the gameplay that I've seen and the impressions that I've read is, they're not really that great. Yeah, I think this is just one of those, maybe a bit more throwaway pre-expansion events. Which, I mean, let's be real, the Legion one was really cool, but since then, they've not really been amazing? I don't know. These are kind of similar to the, Elemental Primal Storm thingies that happen in the new expansions, so, yeah, I imagine they just kind of, hastily put it in here. I guess let's hope things actually turn out pretty well for the, Invasion Storm things in Dragonflight. It's, one of the few things I haven't tested yet. And next, I was wrong. Okay, so you know how we thought the Winds of Wisdom 50% XP buff would end with pre-patch? Well, wording's a bitch. Here is the copy from Blizzard's site. Don't delay! The winds will shift once more when the new Drakthir Evoker becomes playable during the Dragonflight expansion pre-patch, and the experience buff will no longer be available. Yeah, so of course, we know that Evoker will not be available until the 15th of November. That does in fact mean that the XP boost will stay until then, meaning there is 2 more weeks of that leveling buff than, well, I thought. I mean, maybe you guys were actually able to read, unlike me, but hey, hardly a surprise. Thundering. It is the new seasonal affix and it has been changed following feedback. So now it spawns in a barrage of swirlies and it spreads around 2 buffs. So you've got the Mark of Lightning and the Mark of Wind. 2 players will get each. Now these last for 15 seconds and they grant a 15% healing and damage buff. But if they expire on your character, you take big damage and you get a big stun, which probably means you're dead. Now to remove the buff in time, you just need to stand together, basically. And you can easily tell who's got what buff based on the orb that's floating above their head. So overall, this has actually turned out quite well. You can risk it for some more throughput, right? And, you know, maybe there's 2 seconds left, then you walk into each other and clear your buffs. Or if you don't want to deal with it at all, just stay stacked. And that'll clear all the debuffs. And you can basically sidestep that component entirely. So I'll have to play it, obviously, but overall, sounds pretty good. So this one is a bit odd. Blizzard released a blog post about the pacing of Dragonflight reputation content. Now, I say be careful not to read into this too much right now because this is them tuning the pacing of an endgame system in a beta, so increasing things or decreasing things, that's natural. Don't treat this as buffs or nerfs to the game you're going to play, rather the design process of the game. I think that's the fairest way to approach things, but obviously, if their design ends up being really slow and grindy and not that fun, then yeah, that's obviously not good. So Blizzard have said that some previously weekly world quests are now daily, while the frequency of some others has been increased to twice a week, and that the reputation needed per renown rank has increased from 1,000 to 2,500, but that they've decreased the renown level needed to unlock a bunch of activities like the Siege of Dragonbane, the cataloging quests, and the rock climbing quests. Basically, such that the rep that you earn while you level up will actually unlock most of those endgame activities. Also, the weekly world quest, which is a bit like, you know, Shaping Fate or, you know those ones you get in the new zones, right? Just to do a bunch of shit in the week. That quest will actually vary slightly from week to week. Now, it does require you to earn reputation, and while the rep requirement has increased, Blizzard said that overall rep gains mean that it will be faster for most players. Now, I just made a fresh beta character, and I did find that the 2,500 rep needed for a renown level change was in for that character, but then I just looked around the world map, and yeah, most of the world quests that I saw did have a multi-day duration, right? They were basically twice a week, and I had seen that before. So, like, I haven't tested this stuff, but I mean, looking at this post from Styx on the feedback thread to this blue post, it does kind of seem like a hefty increase. So, I don't know, I'd like Blizzard basically to outline their intended pacing here. Certainly for many, weekly quests turning into dailies won't really feel ideal, and that would seem kind of incoherent with the current pacing of world quests, which seem to be 11 every half of a week. And I guess with the content being more chunked up like that, personally, and given the overall design of this expansion, that would encourage me to perhaps do some stuff on alts. Whereas if it's just, you know, daily, then that's probably going to discourage me from playing alts. So here, I'm not that sure. I may be a little bit suspicious. I'd overall just say, Blizzard, please let us know what your intended pacing is with the non-Mythic Plus, non-PvP, non-raid overall world content experience. Well, I've got something a bit nicer, actually, and that is that the Great Vault has got a bit kinder, with raid requirements changed from 2, 4, 6. That is down from 258. All right, so, at the maximum there, it used to be 8 bosses to get the 3 slots, now it's going to be 6. And that does mean that progressing teams will fill their vault a bit quicker. So I wonder if this is because of their intended difficulty curve. I mean, as we covered a few times in the channel, there's now 3 tiers of loot within a difficulty level. And Blizzard did that because they understand that players enjoy those kind of like mid-tier harder bosses like Painsmith. So they want those bosses to exist, but they do want them to give you some better loot. So yeah, depending on the pacing of progression, I guess this is maybe a good thing for the raiding gear. Hard to kind of know here, but given that raiding can feel kind of stingy, I do think that filling those 3 slots a bit earlier, I think that is good. Then for the PvPers, your 3rd vault slot requires 5,000 honor, down from 5,500. Also, they've changed the raid skip quest kill requirement from 3 kills to 4 kills, so you'll unlock your skip a week earlier, which is pretty nice. Alright, do you remember the Soar drama? Oh, I sure do. Well, Soar has been updated. Now, dragon riding talents will have some benefit to Drakthir players while they're in the Isles. Now, this does not buff their Soar outside of the Dragon Isles, which is a little unfortunate, but it's nice that for the Drakthir, their Soar will feel super powerful in the Isles. The talent that increases the speed applies to Soar. A few others reduce its cooldown to a total cooldown of a minute, which is awesome, and Winds of the Isles also applies to them as well. So overall, this is great. I suppose you'll be able to chain this lower cooldown Soar between your dragon riding bouts. I think that will make you feel super powerful, as really a Drakthir should in their home place. So it's not exactly what many wanted given the prior nerfs, but I do think this is a nice improvement. Oh, there was another weird thing about dragon riding, and I just want to point this out because I saw a bunch of people get angry about it. There used to be some funny business that you could basically do with verticality to just really kind of game the system. It was obviously a bug. Blizzard fixed that bug. I then saw a bunch of fun police detected. I don't think that's a case of fun police detected. Fun police detected is not just, oh, they've made something not be broken. Fun police detected is different, and it should be used with nuance. I think in this case, if you want to sell the fantasy of how the dragon riding should feel, and you can just do weird shit that is obviously clearly broken, I don't know. To me, that doesn't feel like fun police. That feels like ensuring a consistent rule set in the game, and so that players who don't happen to know about a bug aren't kind of like punished for not knowing about a bug. I don't know, seems reasonable. And with that said, let's just run through the week's other Dragonflight stories. So, Blizzard have added 3 more action bars, bringing the default total to 8, which is pretty sweet. Then a funny thing, so, build 46,112. Let us put weapon illusions on our artifacts. But then, build 46,144. Removed that, and you could no longer put illusions on your artifact weapons. There was madness, there was claws, there was the gnashing of teeth as the internet turned into a brutal place. Because, I mean, frankly, why not? Come on. But Blizzard have actually swooped in, and they have confirmed that in a later patch, we will indeed be able to put illusions on our artifact weapons. So there you go, 11 out of 10 expansion. But more seriously, though, that is great. It's another win for transmog-focused players, and broadly speaking, that's really good. The better transmog is, that just unlocks, a whole realm of creativity for people, and that's brilliant. And on that topic, Blizzard have added 6 Nightborn and Vrykul weapons to the game. Now this, of course, is because of Season 1's dungeon pool, where you'll remember, Legion Dungeon loot tables do not have weapons because we were all using artifacts at the time. So this is an opportunity for Blizzard to add in some weapons to make the loot tables make sense, and also get us some new mogs. Then, they data mined an updated Silver Dragon asset, but of course the Silver Dragon for a rare target, that's removed from the UI, but there's an add-on called Rare Dardon that implements this unused asset. Another thing, Rathian and Sibelian are 2 major characters who we'll have to choose between on a weekly basis, and depending how we choose, and I guess who we kind of wrap up with the most, we'll either be able to earn the Agent of the Black Prince or Paragon of the Obsidian Brood title. Which is pretty neat, and really I do like the portrayal of the Black Flight. I think it's pretty cool. Now, recent builds are also bringing mountains and mountains of class tuning, really to the point where I don't see the point in super granularly covering the class tuning until it feels like it's settled a little bit and we can kind of, actually talk about what's going to be there. I think for the most part, there's a very vital design and tuning feedback for the developers to do, and I guess discourse with the theory crafters. But if I just kind of sat here and said, hey, this is really powerful this week, that's really not powerful this week, then, I mean, who knows if that'll even be the case by launch, right? And I think that could maybe mislead you a bit. In terms of other things, there's a lot of content testing going on. Now, more does need to be done. Like, we need to get more Mythic Plus dungeons tested. They have been doing, like, weekends of raid testing, stuff like that. So, while there is plenty to do, this is clearly Blizzard moving ever closer to a release candidate. And at least this time around, they feel a lot more snappy and a lot more agile with how they're doing things. Next then, lore. Okay, a bunch of lore tablets have leaked. Now, it seems these will be found in the pre-patch Uldaman dungeon. And these are kind of fascinating. They're not wholly unexpected. And as far as I can tell, they are the first and the only mention of the first ones in this expansion. Blizzard are absolutely, kind of pulling away from how Shadowlands lore felt. These documents, though, are essentially us seeing things like Odin and Tyr's DMs, which is fun. It kind of continues to reveal how much of a prick the Prime Designate is, which, real talk, is something we've always known about. Along with that, though, we also see some progress reports from Tyr that confirm that Uldoris, which is first mentioned by Mother in patch 8.3, is actually the Titan name for Tyr's Hold, which is the kind of main Titan setup on the Dragon Isles. I'm not going to go hyper into spoilers here. If you would like to learn more, then you can check out the video that we published yesterday. And finally, a bit of a chuckle. This is only in China, and it's not pleasant. So, Chinese Wrath Classic has got the X-51 Nether Rocket, Magic Rooster Egg, Woolly White Rhino, Dragonkite, and Spectral Tiger Cub pets added to the in-game store for money. And this might feel new and horrific, but it's actually not. Because the Swift Spectral Tiger was added to a mount bundle, and it came out having like a $200 premium, which is ouch. But I would say the fact that they did the Spectral Tiger over there but did not do it over here means I don't think any of this is going to happen. That said, I mean, whenever patch 3.33 comes out, are they going to add the in-game store in? Because that's actually when Blizzard sold the Sparkle Pony, way back at the end of Wrath. Now, the thing you should know here is that World of Warcraft China is actually ran by NetEase. It's not ran by Blizzard Irvine. It's a whole bunch of complicated things about getting your game out in China, but China is obviously a big market for WoW, and the Chinese version of WoW has often been differently monetized. And what's funny here is that, of course, NetEase also did Diablo Immortal with Blizzard, but very interestingly, their relationship broke down regarding a new World of Warcraft MMORPG. That might sound shocking to you, right? But yeah, there was going to be a Warcraft mobile MMO, like a full MMO. And it was going to be set in a different time period in Azeroth, and seemingly they were making this for like 3 years. They even developed like the lore and like the canon of what was going on during the setting and all that stuff. And like 3 years of development. But no, the business relationship between NetEase and Blizzard actually broke down over that project. So obviously NetEase are still there for Diablo Immortal, they're still there for World of Warcraft, but it is interesting that they did have a major project go scuffed. Okay. Final thing to talk about, and hopefully what is not going to be a major project that goes scuffed, and that is Diablo 4. Where me and you are in the same boat, and it's probably a good thing, because D4 closed testing is opened, but it's just that, it's closed. And this is fantastic. Blizzard are not doing like a streamer beta. Well, I mean, I'd hope that Riker is there, because you shouldn't get in because he's a streamer. You should get in because he really knows Diablo. But yeah, this is not like a marketing content farm for Blizz. This is them wanting like Diablo players in. And the way that you actually would get in is by having Diablo gameplay on your Battle.net account. They're actually looking at that to decide who gets in. And that is absolutely what you want to see. Now, obviously, live service game concerns aside, I'll be real with you, I really do think Diablo 4 looks fantastic. I think the art style is absolutely beautiful. I think the abilities look super impactful and fun. Yeah, looks good to me, to be honest. And, well, it brings me on to something that me and Matt sort of came upon when we talked about Overwatch 2 a while ago. And that's the odd thing where you can have a marvelous game but a flawed product. I think Overwatch 2, which has also came out recently, is a marvelous game. I've been having an utter blast. Like, the most fun I've had in an FPS in like 2 or 3 years. Where maybe tied with another great example, which is Halo Infinite. I think Halo Infinite is a marvelous game. But the problem, well, it's a marvelous game as a game made by game designers. But as a product, it's fucked. So that's the interesting thing, right? It's the idea you can have a brilliant game but a bad product. And that's something that's more and more possible. Well, the more the business of games, advances. Like, it used to just be, it was just the game and it had a price. But now a game as a product is something a little bit different. Who knows, but I guess it has got me thinking about like an almost thinking framework that we need to adopt. One that's able to recognize the blood, sweat, and tears of developers and the work that they've done and give them their due, but where we can still talk about the end experience as a product, not just the game. Because I'd liken, say, my content for Overwatch 2 for people to be like, oh yeah, Overwatch 2, scuffed as a product, bunch of bad decisions, but it is actually a brilliant game. That's the interesting thing. But at the very least, so far, Diablo 4 actually does look like it's going to be a pretty great product. Final bit of news then, Blizzard are running an event for the Undying Challenge, and that might not mean much to you, to be honest. I don't plan on watching it either, but I just want to point out that it's undoubtedly a cool thing for them to do. And it's actually another in a long string of very, very neat community events that they've done, like the Faded Showdown, the Variety Show, and a few others. We've actually found out that the team that does that kind of thing, has grown significantly in the last while. And it's just nice to see that bear fruit. This is a Blizzard that is more able to get their message out there and is more able to actually just do cool shit with the community. So I think that's overall a good thing. Anyway, that's it for the Warcraft news. There'll be so much content on this channel, so yeah, check back in tomorrow, I guess. And with that, I'll see you next time.